Hi boys and girls, how's everyone doing today? I have another read aloud for you, and this one is very interesting, and I think we all can relate to this read aloud. Now, I want you to think, when you were younger, or still today, have you ever pretended to be something that we currently are not? Whether that could be a store clerk, whether that could be a superhero or a singer or an actress or a policeman. Have you ever pretended to be another person? Well, this read aloud focuses on firefighters and how small children pretend to be firefighters and actually get to meet their idols, which are the firefighters. Now, before we start reading this book, we're going to do our usual picture walk, and as always, remember to look at all these illustrations and think to yourself as we read what these pictures mean to the text. Okay, let's start with our read aloud. So before we start this read aloud, it is full of figurative language. Now, what is figurative language? Very good, yes. Figurative language is a way the author writes an ordinary sentence and makes it more interesting for the reader. For example, personification is a very popular form of figurative language, and that is when the author gives a normal everyday object, so let's say the book, and they give that normal everyday object human-like qualities. So we could say the book got up and walked away, or the book flipped its own pages. I can't do that because it's not human. That is a form of figurative language, which is personification. So when we read this book, keep your ears and eyes peeled for other forms of figurative language. Are you ready to get started? The Firefighters by Sue Whiting, illustrated by Donna Rollins. Bring, bring, the alarm sounds. Quick, I say. Coats and boots, hats too, says Mia. Hurry, Mrs. Iverson, says Jack. There's a fire. We're playing firefighters. We're just like the real ones. Climb on board, I say. Squeeze in, Mrs. Iverson, says Mia. The door won't close. Sirens on, says Jack. Let's go, go, go. We're in our fire engines, and we're just like the real ones. Wee-oo, 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 the siren yells. Quick, I say, around the corner. And up the hill, says Mia. Then onto Drury Lane, says Mrs. Iverson. No, shouts Jack. That's the wrong way. Silly Mrs. Iverson. So, boys and girls, there are two forms of figurative language on this page. This top sentence, That's figurative language, and this is a different form of figurative language. Let's start with the sounds. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. What kind of figurative language is that? The sentence wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo is an example of onomatopoeia. And I know that's a very hard word to say and to spell, but onomatopoeia is an example of figurative language that represents the actual sound of something. So another example of onomatopoeia could be a doorbell dinging. So it'll go ding dong, ding dong. That's another example. Okay, so now we know what this one is. What is this one? The siren yells. Sirens can't yell. So what is the word or the form of figurative language that represents objects that are not human, that can perform human activities or have human-like qualities? Well, if you were thinking personification, you would be correct. The sentence, the siren yells, is an example of personification. Alrighty, let's continue on. We rush out the door. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. We tear past the climbing fort and tunnel. See, there's the onomatopoeia again. We dash past the sandbox. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. Everyone stops and stares, but we don't have time to wave. Our fire engines are fast and noisy, just like the real ones. There's the fire, I say. Quick, pull over. Connect the hoses, says Mia. We have to hurry, says Mrs. Iverson, or Lulu's ice creamery will go up too. This could get dangerous, says Jack. Be careful. The fire is hot. The flames crack and pop and tickle the sky. The smoke is really stinky. Oxygen masks, says Mrs. Iverson. Good thinking. We pull on our masks. Mia and Jack hold one hose. Mrs. Iverson and I hold the other. Water shoots out and blasts the fire. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. We're firefighters, brave and strong, just like the real ones. Fire's out, I say. We did it, says Mia. And we saved Lulu's, says Mrs. Iverson. Good job, everyone, says Jack. We flop to the ground, tired and dirty. Then, wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. What is that? Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. A siren? Look, I say. Wow, says Mia. Too noisy, yells Jack, covering his ears. Surprise, says Mrs. Iverson. It's a fire engine, a real one. The fire engine drives into the yard and stops right outside of our classroom. The doors swing open and out step two firefighters, real ones. Mrs. Iverson gets us to sit in the shade. The firefighters tell us stories about fighting fires and rescuing people from burning buildings. It sounds exciting and scary. They tell us that if there's a fire in a building we're in, we should get down low and go, go, go. Let's pretend, says one of the firefighters. Oh no, shouts the other. There's smoke. There must be a fire. We're not silly. We know what to do. We get down low and go, go, go. We're good at pretending, I tell the firefighters. We can see that, they say. When we're all sitting down again, one of the firefighters says, would anyone like to climb on board of the fire truck? Yes, we shout, and we do, 3 at a time. The fire engine's really big and red and shiny. There are dials and buttons everywhere. Mia and I take turns switching on the siren. Jack speaks into the radio. Don't worry, we're on our way, he says. I love it. I really do. You know, we're firefighters too, I tell the firefighters. Just not the real ones like you. Not yet. Okay. Boys and girls, that was the end of our read aloud. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I thought it was very fun and interesting to learn about these firefighters and the process they went to, you know, creating their own little fire engines and putting out fires in front of their classmates and their teacher. We all used to make believe and pretend to be firefighters and policemen and parts of a band, so I think it was very fun to read this book today. But we learned a couple important things today. Can anyone tell me that very important word that we learned that represents sounds? It's a part of figurative language, and I'll give you a hint. It starts with an O. I know it's hard to pronounce, but the word is onomatopoeia, and that is the word for figurative language that represents sounds. So anytime in this book that we heard wee-oo, 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 that was onomatopoeia. Now, what was the second word that we learned? The second very important word for figurative language that we learned that represents an object that can perform actions that humans can do. Let me know. Well, that word is personification. Now, what is an example of personification? Very good. An example of personification could include the rain ran down my window, or give me another one. Very good. You are very smart. Yes, the example in our book was the siren yells. A siren can't yell. We can yell. So the siren yelling is an example of personification. So that wraps up our read aloud and our video for today. I had an amazing time and I hope you all did as well. But before we leave, please give me 2 examples of personification and 2 examples of onomatopoeia. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day and I'll see you next time. Bye.